Mercantile Bank posted double-digit growth in net profit after tax for the third consecutive year. The company's net profit after tax for the year ended in 2017 climbed 20% to 213 million rand. Mercantile's total assets have also more than doubled since 2011 and grew by 9.3%. Joining me now for more on those results is Karl Kumbier. He's CEO of the bank. Karl, thanks very much indeed. I was making a joke referring to the numbers that I saw coming from Absa. You mentioned Nedbank as well, single-digit growth. And yet here you are, you're talking double-digit, but not only double-digit, almost all your major divisions posting profit growth of more than 20%.
Yeah.
What's the magic one? What did you find? What were you doing different?
Yeah, I suppose it's, firstly, thanks for having me on your show. I think it's all about people, I think, firstly. Yeah? So and it's not just 1 year of hard work, it's been 5 years of a lot of hard work from all our staff. We came up with a strategy, a very simple strategy saying we want to be the best business bank in South Africa. That's it. Yeah? So a simple one that everyone can understand. And then we broke it up into bite-sized chunks. We looked at each of our divisions and said, how do we grow double-digit or achieve double-digit growth for each division? We came up with a strategy for each division, and we were quite ruthless in the execution of that strategy to make sure whatever we agreed on, we did. And if you think about it, you can either grow organically or through acquisitions.
Yeah.
We were able to make one acquisition about 6 years ago now, a small rental finance business. When we bought it, its rental book was 30 million rand, and we're now sitting on nearly 1 billion rand. Yeah. We also launched a private bank in the last 3 years. We've managed to lend out over 1 billion rand of home loans to entrepreneurs, to self-employed people just in that space. And if you look at our treasury, I mean, our treasury business has grown 25% on average for the last few years. Our payments business over 25%, our card business over 50%. So I think it's just getting the right people in the right roles, the right strategy, and making sure we execute on our strategy.
And then the question then becomes, okay, this is fantastic. I mean, so how long can you sustain this?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And it's been quite hard because the last 5 years we haven't been allowed to make acquisitions because of what's going on in Portugal.
Right.
Yeah, holding company is the largest bank in Portugal. And so we've had to grow organically, and it's been hard work, getting to this stage.
Sure.
But we are in the process of being sold at the moment. Yeah, we're going through a tender process, and which is quite exciting, I think, for us, the management team and staff at Mercantile. And hopefully, whoever buys us will then have deep pockets and allow us to go make acquisitions, maybe go into the rest of Africa, maybe enter new segments of the market. So I think we definitely need something different to sustain this growth. We can't carry on organically. And that's why I'm excited about having a new shareholder that's hopefully going to help us achieve that growth.
Yeah, so help me understand a little bit. So this auction process that you're going through, how long is it going to take? Who is in the bidding? I mean, are you likely to end up with a South African bank or a Portuguese bank or, who knows, an American bank?
It's a good question. So the bidding process, because it's the holding company is owned by the state in Portugal, has to go through a very transparent bidding process.
Right.
So they've appointed their own investment bank as well as Deutsche Bank locally to run with a tender process.
Okay.
So bidders, anyone can bid for the bank. So there's been a lot of...
So you could end up with first round?
Yeah, anyone. Yeah, exactly. So anyone can put in a bid.
Okay.
And that bid then gets... so far where we are in the process is... non-disclosure agreements have been signed with potential or bidders that are interested.
How many?
Sure, so they've plenty. The investment banks, they haven't seen so much interest in the asset in many years.
I can imagine.
It's more than 20, I can tell you that.
Sure.
So so now they're saying the next step is to, by the 15th of March now, all the bids have to be in. So it has to follow a strict process. So there's a 15-page document which says who's the shareholder, how deep are your pockets, where are you going to raise the funding, what are you going to do with the bank, what are your empowerment credentials, all of those. And then once you've submitted your offer, with a price obviously, it's going to be a short list of, it will come down to a short list of 3 or 4 parties by about the 20th of March.
Right.
Then it goes to the Portuguese government to be signed off, and when it comes back it becomes public, so we'll all know who those 3 or 4 parties are.
Right.
And then from there they are allowed to do due diligence, have a session with management, and then they put in their final offer, and by the end of June, it'll be signed and sealed. We'll have a new shareholder.
By end of June, you said?
By end of June, subject to local approval. So we still have to get the Reserve Bank and the Minister of Finance and Competition Commission, but by the end of June, the last party, the successful bidder would have been announced, and agreements all signed. Yeah.
Is it safe to assume that most of the South African big banks have applied for a chunk of it to buy you?
No, I don't think so. To me, I think why would a big bank, I suppose, buy us? I think that's the first question.
Sure.
to me, and also if you look at all the issues in Parliament recently with the transformation hearings with regards to the financial sector, I think you're trying to get more competition as opposed to less competition. So to me, it'll be very difficult for a big bank to buy us to get it through the Competition Commission and the Reserve Bank when we actually want, we want more competition in the market. So I don't think you'd have a bid from the big banks.
Right, okay. Before we talk about the future in terms of growing those earnings, I wanted to talk a little bit about this set of results. I wanted to talk about the non-performing loans. It jumped to 3.4%, but I suppose from 2.1%, I suppose when you have growth of 20% plus, you can sort of, excuse that a little bit. But what was the main driver there?
Yeah, no, actually, funny enough, our non-performing loans have always been low, compared to the rest of the industry. We've been in just over 2% for the last probably 5 years. But we had one big account that went into business rescue in December, funny enough, the last month of the year, which pushed us from 2.2% to 3.4%. And
otherwise, what would have been the number?
It would have been 2.2 again. So, but we're that account that's gone in business rescue, we've already collected most of the debt back, and we're very comfortable that we actually think we'll collect everything back on it. So just shows you the problem with a small bank is you can have one large bad debt and suddenly it impacts on your ratios. But 3.4% is still way within the industry average. It's still good. We're comfortable with that.
Absolutely. You're a specialist bank. For a lot of people, you say Mercantile Bank, people don't know who you're talking about. But we saw in December, I think it was when we had news that the IFC was putting in, I think, 740 million rand to try to help you lend more into the small business sector. Talk to me a little bit about the impact that will have on your ability to lend more.
Yeah, I mean, we're the only bank in the country that only banks entrepreneurs. So doesn't matter if you're a little hairdresser with 1 or 2 employees, or whether you have thousands of employees, as long as there's an entrepreneur behind the business. We understand entrepreneurs. We've been banking them for 50 years now, so we understand how to operate. So, and we've grown very nicely over the last few years, and you can see our lending's grown, our deposit base, but we're not a retail bank, so it's very difficult for us to raise deposits. Even though we've grown it nicely, but if we want to continue this growth, we've got to get more funding. And so that we did a deal with the World Bank, the division, the International Finance Corporation. They want to invest money into Africa, and especially for SMEs. We only bank SMEs, so it was a fantastic partnership. So they lent us 740 million rand over a 7-year period now to help fund SMEs, with a focus on female entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, as well as some black empowerment.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what were the conditions for that money, because I can't imagine they just came and said, go and do it.
But we're setting up a whole division now to just go and concentrate on that sector of the market, which is going to be quite exciting for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely exciting news for entrepreneurs as well. Let's talk a little bit about some of the more generic news that have been in the South African economy. We've seen Cyril Ramaphosa come in. I had a market watcher earlier in who told me the rand has gained almost like 2 rand to the dollar since the coming in of Ramaphosa. So very positive. And also the whole economic climate and environment has sort of shifted. As a banker, as someone who lends to the private sector, are you getting that enthusiasm coming through?
Yeah, I must say, I think last year was a very tough year for everyone in this country. Every business, except for our results, we're happy. But every business owner we speak to, last year was tough, and people were getting despondent, and suddenly in December, that all just changed, and the last 2 months have been actually unbelievable. And I just think all the right noises, new presidents doing something, all the changes in cabinet and all that. So I must say, I think just my own personal view and having chats to all our customers. I mean, I had breakfast this morning with customers again. Everyone is so positive, which is great. And I think that banking is all about confidence, but the economy is also about confidence. The more confident entrepreneurs are, the more they'll invest, the more jobs will be created. So I think that's great. We're all quite excited.
I know you're not allowed to report information that you haven't put to the stock market, but tell me if you have seen anything that suggests that things are beginning to pick up in these first 2 months of the year.
No, I just think the only thing I can just talk about our own stuff is we had a very, very good January. And if I look at our payments businesses, I suppose that's a sign of the economy as well, to how many transactions are going through credit card, through credit card machines, big debit order collection business. I mean, our non-interest income, January this year versus January last year, we're up about, I think, nearly 30%, 25%. So it just shows you there's a big uptick in January.
Thank you, Cyril.
Which is a good sign, I think.
But at the same time, we're beginning to say, but what's wrong with this guy? Because amidst all this euphoria, now you've got this whole issue around expropriating land without compensation. And some people are saying, what magic can he potentially bring here? What's the mood, though, on the ground as you talk to fellow bankers as well as your customers?
Yeah, I think, look, obviously, I think where people aren't sure what's going to happen, that creates a little bit of...
And that's bad.
Yeah, that's bad, exactly. And so you had, I think your mood was like that, and it maybe dropped a little bit, not back to where it was, but it has dropped a little bit. But I think we need certainty. I think that's what you need to know, exactly what's going to happen and how. But I mean, at the end of the day, you can't just take someone's land away. I can understand taking something away that was stolen from someone, for sure, but it's so there has to be obviously a whole process in place. And this is not going to happen overnight. So I think as soon as we understand exactly what that process is going to be and how it's going to work, people will always be a little bit unsettled with regards to it. As a bank, we don't lend into the agricultural space. We don't do mining and we don't do agriculture because we don't have that requires really deep specialist skills.
Yeah.
But obviously the big banks are big into that. So it is obviously a huge issue for the industry, and it's and it'll be very difficult to borrow money against a farm if you don't know what's going to happen with that farm.
100%. But there's also that uncertainty that comes into the whole definition of what land is going to be affected by this, because I think if you look at the bill that went through Parliament last week, I think there was a suggestion that the EFF was looking for all land, whereas some people are suggesting that there ought to be a distinction between your commercial, your residential, as well as your farmland. And so it's going to affect you as well, even though at the moment we don't know whether it will. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that's exactly what you're saying, because everyone's always said, fixated on the farming side, but suddenly if it's all land, and then suddenly what about your foreigners investing in property? What about your big shopping centers? What about your real estate investment trusts? Everyone's impacted. So that's why there has to be clarity around this thing, and hopefully the president and his team is going to come up with some clarity over the next couple of months to just resolve these issues.
Do you have faith?
Say again?
Do you have faith?
Yeah, I have faith.
I think it's time to
pray. Yeah, I'm positive.